guest of honor, a nocturnal attraction here in this castle where slavery thrives. Your mastery, my delight. Pain is my pleasure tonight. Yeah,
all right. Welcome to Sideboard MTG. My name's Eric, and we're going to be talking about some Ravnica Allegiance spoilers tonight. We're going to be doing this live. I've got a question I want to answer for everyone, so we're going to watch a quick little 1-minute video by Wizards, and it's going to explain the Riot mechanic for everyone, and then we're going to talk about Domri Raid. So if you guys want to check out the link to this video, I will post it in the description box below after this event is done. But we're going to watch this quick video, and hope you guys enjoy. So let me jump over here. What's up, everyone? Hopefully you guys will be able to hear this. If I can get it up.
Riot.
Yeah,
Gruul strategy is simple. Hit hard, hit fast. The new ability Riot can do both. This Gruul Spellbreaker. This Frenzied Arynx. They strong. They protect you. They excellent Gruul allies. As a creature with Riot enter battlefield, make a choice. Give it a counter, make it bigger. Give haste, make it faster. No enemy can respond to this choice. Creature enters with whichever bonus you took. Sometimes need to smash harder. Sometimes need to crush enemy now. Whatever the fight needs, Gruul are prepared. Riot works no matter how the creature enters the battlefield. Cast it or do it other way does not matter. Bah, enough talk. The Rubble Belt is ours. Ravnica ours. We are Gruul.
All right, a little bit of mute action there. Well, from the way I understand Riot, and the way this made it sound was there's no response to it. It's going to enter no matter what. We should have sound now. But the Riot mechanic, from another way I understand it, is you can have more than one copy of Riot on something. Now, as far as the enchantment, which I'll have to go pull up. Let's see, when was the enchantment spoiled? Does anybody remember what it was? Was it Titanic Brawl? No. Rhythm of the Wild, maybe? Let's find out. Rhythm of the Wild. Creatures you control can't be countered. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. So if a creature already has Riot, then you can actually give it Riot twice, from the way I understand it. Now, this may or may not be true, but from the way I understand it, you can give it Riot twice. Now, I do not believe that multiple copies of this enchantment would give Riot twice, but if a creature already had Riot and you cast it with the new Planeswalker or had this enchantment on it, you would then be able to choose one for each instance of Riot that creature had. Now, if you can give Riot from multiple copies of this enchantment, that would be absolutely broken. But again, I don't think that, because this is a static effect, I don't think that this one copies. Everyone's saying that I am right. All right, cool. It did not specify that in the video, but I still thought that video was really, really cool. It's just like an effect. You can give multiple instances of it, just like how Afflict had that one dagger with Afflict on it. Yep, exactly. So I wanted to point that out, because now that you guys know about that, someone will have to confirm on whether or not the enchantment can stack. But now that you guys know about that, I want you to think about that as we start talking about Domri Raid. Now, I was originally going to go over these spoilers via, talking about them and the date they came out, starting with Drillbit. However, since we're already on the Riot thing, let's go ahead and talk about Domri Raid and then go from there. So, Domri Raid's a 4-mana Gruul and 5 loyalty Planeswalker. This is pretty big, guys. I mean, the fact that we've got a 5 loyalty 4, 4 is pretty sweet. His +1 says that we can add 1 red or 1 green. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains Riot. So it gains +1/+1, or it gains haste. If it has Riot already, then it's going to gain another instance of Riot. If you have the enchantment down, then it's going to gain yet another instance of Riot. So at that point, you could have 3. If the enchantment could stack, let's see, yes, there was a different article that brought up the stacking. You had to look it up for a coworker Friday. All right, so did anybody find out about the enchantment stacking? But anyway, so far I think it's 3. If you give a creature 3 forms of Riot, that's going to be pretty broken. A couple +1/1 counters, and being able to attack with it that turn. Heaven forbid that creature was a Jadelight Ranger or something like that, and you flipped up a card, put 2 additional +1/1 counters on it. Of course, that would only be 2 copies of Riot. But still, there's a lot of possibilities in that +1. Giving all creatures haste, just if you cast them off of the +1 alone, would be pretty good. If we were doing it, giving all creatures cast with this an extra +1/1 counter, that still wouldn't be bad. But giving us that option, just that choice to do that, I think that's going to be a really good for +1 ability. Plus, it's a technically, once you have him down, it's really hard to kill Land of War Elves if you're doing nothing but spending that +1. Now, I do want to point out that you add that +1, and if it was spent on a creature, it gains Riot. It doesn't have to be spent on a creature. So if you need to cast a non-creature spell, you can still get away with that as well. Like if you didn't hit your 5th land and you wanted to get your Vivian down for Jund Super Friends, which seems like chat's going on about, then it also works as ramp for that. Now on the -3 here, which would take our Planeswalker down to 2, which looks like it's going to be pretty good. We'd be able to go instantly play him, put a couple cards in our hand by using his -3, and then uptick him, cast one of those cards, and then the next turn just downtick him again, kill him off, and just get all of the value out of him. That would be pretty sweet. But he's also got a sweet ultimate. So let's talk about this -3 a little bit. We get to look at the top 4 cards of our library. We can reveal up to 2 creature cards from among them and put those into our hand. Put the rest on the bottom of our library in a random order. Now there's going to be a floor and a ceiling to this ability, and that is going to be based on deck building. Now his -3 is going to be absolute trash in a Jund's Walkers list unless you got a ton of creatures in that. And I don't normally see a ton of creatures in my Walkers list and things like that. Doubling season, right? You just go straight to that ultimate, and he still lives, right? Anyway, so you're going to need a lot of creatures in order to truly maximize this -3. We're only looking at 4 cards. We do get to pull 2 out of those 4. But if you've ever cast Collected Company, you do know that it's easy to whiff in 6 cards in a 30 creature deck. So, and whiffing can be, I just got, I just got 1 single creature and it was my worst creature. That could be the floor, is just seeing all 4 lands, being the floor on this and whiffing all together. However, you could also see, your non-creature spells, and you're going to pass through those, or you're going to see just 1 creature, or if you've built with a ton of creatures, you might see a lot more, and you might actually get your 2 creatures out of it. So do think about that. If you're going to be running him, how many creatures are you going to have to run? I am going to try to get some math on that and let us know where that safe number of creatures is, so that we can see 2 on that, see 2 creatures to put into our hand on that. But I get the feeling that it's going to be quite ridiculous, somewhere to the point where you're probably only going to have Domri raid creatures, and then maybe 1 4-of slot for some type of removal. But we'll see. Then we've got the -8 here, where we get an emblem with, at the beginning of each end step, create a 4/4 red and green beast creature token with trample. Now, granted, if you're getting to the -8, you're kind of winning anyway. Just because, like, you can play him on 4 and then just, play your 5th land, play Carnage Tyrant. Carnage Tyrant gains haste. Need I say more? Like, that's pretty good. But if you're just, playing creatures with him and upticking him, then you're probably winning already, and that's why the emblem's not. It doesn't really matter to me that we're only getting a 4/4 green beast creature token with trample, but that's still a 4/4 beast. I mean, that's a big dude. The ultimate plus unsealing. No, you're not casting these creatures, so you're not going to trigger unsealing. Just because a creature lands doesn't trigger unsealing. What's up, Rush? How you doing, sir? Madness, Kenneth, Rocker, Jack, Iowa, Troy. What's up, Iowa? Who else we got up in here? I know I had a lot of people jump in, so let's see what everyone else is saying. Denton, what's up? Or sorry, Kenton, Devin Kenton. Justin Clay got me on the pun on the microphone. Yes, you did, sir. Shay, how you doing? Rocker. MTG Pack Rat. I know we got a lot more. If I missed you, Dragon Lord, what's up? And it's every turn, not just our turn. At the beginning of each end step, yeah. So Tindershoot Dryad is what someone called it earlier. Just a Tindershoot Dryad. That's pretty good. Jack's like, I've been here the whole time. The ultimate is every end step. Nice. Yes. That is pretty sweet. What's up, buddy? Well, we got a rare guest. Yeah. My big fat one. Yeah. Hey, buddy. No. Anyway, so, hey, buddy. Yeah. You gonna lay down? This is Fox, everyone, for those of you that don't know. Anyway, Tindershoot Borade. I think it's a game-winning ultimate as long as you already have the board like fairly stabilized. I mean, you're going to be putting out a lot of creatures, so all these new spoilers got you thinking of Yargle Tribal, though. Yargle Tribal. All right, so that was Domri Raid. Let's move on to just the spoilers as they came out. We got Drill Bit. Now this is just an uncommon. Now it does have Spectacle on it, but you're not going to be able to like turn 1 this thing. So like. It's a Thoughtseize. It's a 3-mana Thoughtseize, and if we can do damage to our opponent, then we can cast it for 1 black. Now, I say it's Thoughtseize just because there's no restriction on what card you can take other than it has to be a non-land, but you don't take the 2 damage off of it. So it's slightly better than Thoughtseize if you can deal the damage. However, you're normally not going to be playing this on turn 1. So, hello, cousin Thoughtseize. There you go. Elfball? Yeah, he's a good cat. He's laying down here. He's got his motor running now. So, he's about 10 years old. We've had him a long time. He's a big beast. Anyway, so Drill Bit, I don't think that it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. In your best of 3 games, this is going to be the card to bring in with your Punisher decks, things like that. Some chat saying, Kenneth saying, Punisher Burn going to be nutso. Yeah. Yes, Thoughtseize, you lose 2 life. You lose 2 life. You get to remove a card from their hand, but you lose 2 life. But it's 1 mana no matter what. So here you need to make them lose life, and then you get to Drill Bit them and take anything you want. So turn 1 from Shockland. Unfortunately, no, because we can't actually break the sorcery speed. So I was hoping that Spectacle would allow us to cast the card, for its Spectacle cost and break timing. However, from what I understand, Spectacle doesn't break timing. So if it's a sorcery speed card, we're still only going to be able to cast these cards in our main phase. That would be really, really sweet if it worked kind of like Miracles did. I checked the wording on Miracles, and Miracles is worded completely different. So unfortunately, it's not going to be the case, which isn't. That's really sad, because that's exactly what I was thinking when I first seen it. Because a lot of people are going to be having those shock lands, and if you're slightly aggressive, they're not going to be using their shock lands. They're going to be making sure those come in tapped. But that would be pretty sweet to go, swamp on turn 1, they shock themselves, and you're like, oh yeah, well here, in response to you casting your first spell, I'm going to Spectacle you here. That would be pretty sweet, but I don't believe it works that way. So unfortunately, Drill Bit is, I don't really think that it's going to be super playable. But in certain decks, it's definitely going to be there you go. The flavor text says it all. Never boring. It's going to be pretty sweet in certain decks. Find the deck that can guarantee that it does the damage, so that you only have to pay 1 for it, and it's going to be a great card. I mean, 1 mana is the broken price to pay for that effect, not having to pay life or anything else. The fact that they're making you jump through a little bit of a loop to get down to that 1 mana, then, you know, if you can make that happen consistently, then you're going to get to play with the broken side of it. But do remember, if you play this card, there will be times where you pay 3 mana for it. Which, you know what, if you're swinging on turn 4 and you're making sure they don't have a settle or something before you swing, then, you know what, maybe you want to pay 3 mana for it. Maybe it just doesn't matter at that point. I don't want to get settled here. I want to make sure that I'm getting through. Then maybe it's worth 3 mana. Either way, we're going to move on to Nikia of the Old Ways. Now, this is a 5 mana, 1 green, 1 red, 3 colorless. Oh, come on, buddy. Roll over. You're going to make this difficult, aren't you? Anyway, this is a 5 mana, 3... How does Dev do this? Like, why are you even here? Why are you here? Seriously. Yeah. No, dude. Like, come on. It's my mustache you're messing with. Alright. Go get in your chair, buddy. No? Anyway. So, Nikia of the Old Ways. 5 mana. Do nothing. Horrible card. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything. It's a 5 mana 5/5. Gruel in 3. You can't cast non-creature spells if you have this on the battlefield. But your lands tap for double the mana. If they tap for green, they're going to tap for 2 green. If they tap for blue, they're going to tap for 2 blue. Red, 2 red. So on and so forth. Which is a pretty good effect. We see a lot of people, like in Commander and stuff, play Vorinclux just because of some of these abilities. However, Vorinclux is always going to be so much better because he stops your opponent from tapping mana and things like that. But you can still cast your non-creature spells in these type of decks, where you have big mana. They're wanting to do like Tooth and Nail and things like that. So you're wanting to like pull your combos off and stuff. So I just really don't think this is a good card to be playing around with. The fact that it stops a lot of your non-creature spell, or all of your non-creature spells, is kind of I wouldn't want to go there. So anyway, that's Nikia of the Old Ways. If anyone knows something broken about her, let me know in chat. Otherwise, I really just don't think that this card's playable in just about anything, honestly. There might be a world where you're like, you know what, I'm going to play Domri Raid, and Domri Raid's going to be the only non-creature spell in my entire deck. Once you get him down, you can start just going ham, but you're going to need a way to keep drawing cards, because that's going to be a lot of mana. It's going to be a ton of mana. So, hold up. Imagine this. The next turn, you cast Hungering Hydra or that Jellyfish Beast thingy. Yeah, I get that. I mean, being able to cast some huge things out of your hand, those the jellyfish beast thingy, the Hydra jellyfish, that would be pretty good. It would allow you to draw a ton of cards. That alone might actually be where you want to go with this. So if you're trying to play some type of big creature deck or something like that, Temur Adept. Maybe. If you're just worried about making big dudes and using your mana to activate high cost abilities and things of that nature, then absolutely that might be where this card comes into play. But without some specific deck building, I just wouldn't want the restriction of not being able to cast non-creature spells. If you've ever played with Nullhide Ferox, you know that you still run into, wanting to cast some non-creature spells, and sometimes it gets in the way, especially, come sideboard. So, maybe a main board copy or so of this for some good laughs and good times, but I don't know. So who else wants both Niv and Zagana to ignite sparks next set? Oh man, that would be absolutely awesome, especially if we're moving away from this era or this like storyline and moving on to like other planeswalkers and such. That would be pretty interesting. I know that I want Niv to ignite his spark, but we'll see what happens. All right, next here we've got Sphinx of New Prov. Did I say that right? Yeah, we'll go with it. We've got, this is the white, or the Azorus double double blue, double white for a 4/3 flying vigilance. Spells your opponent cast that target Sphinx of New Prov. Costs 2 more to cast. Well, ain't that special? I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. Okay, limited bomb. All right, I do like to draft some blue-white flyers. This is a decent blue-white flyer. Actually, this is a really good blue-white flyer. I mean, the double-double here is not going to be hard in your draft decks. You know, it's probably never going to be dealt with. You're probably just going to have a 4/3 beaten in the air. So, you know, that's the thing. Make it happen. You guys posting? You could kick a Joshu Vest with this thing. You probably could, Rush. You probably could. Happy Looming Altosaurus Day, 1/7. Right, well. Anyway, I'm not, like, super impressed. Limited bomb, possibly. But as far as standard playable, I don't think it's as impressive as some of the others. Now, here we've got Sohana Wayfinder. You're just going to chill here the whole time, aren't you? Yep. Sohana Wayfinder, Elf Scout, 2 mana, 2/1. So we kind of passes the bear test. Not really, but I mean, I've played a lot of 2 mana, 2/1s. So let's take a look at the ability. When Sohana Wayfinder enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it on top of your library. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So this kind of gives you like an index. You go and control the best creature or creature or land, whichever one you need the most on your next turn. However, if you had a really good line of cards coming up, those are gone. I don't think you should really see it that way, more as card selection for your next draw, which isn't horrible. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's a full card, but being able to look at 4 cards and choosing exactly which one of those cards you want is not nothing. So I'm not going to say that this is absolutely wonderful card. But it's definitely not nothing. I will be very interested to see this played on Arena, when you can look at the top 4 cards of your library, see, and pitch 4 lands to the bottom and still draw a land. That's going to be quite interesting. We'll see how well this works. However, I mean, if you guys have played Arena, you know that that's going to happen. That is absolutely going to happen. You're gonna look at the top 4 cards. You're gonna throw 4 lands away and still going to draw a land. So you may reveal a creature card, so you're going to put the rest. So you can dump all 4 of those. I do want to point that out. Yes, it is mentioned that this is an elf frenzy with this. Okay, so using this card off of frenzy to make sure that you get another playable on top. So there's going to be some play for sure, but like, I'm not like super impressed, but I'm not saying that this card's nothing. I'm going to have to just wait and see how well it plays. The effect may be more powerful than we realize, but I'm not like just dying to throw this in every one of my decks. But again, there's going to be some places for this. And you guys may be right. It may be the green-red Frenzy deck. We know that deck is really, really close to being playable right now, even without the mana. He is passed out asleep. Yep. He had his tender centers. He's done. Anyway, it would be good if people put if it put it into your hand, right? Yeah. But now that it was pointed out, that we could play this with Frenzy, I'm kind of okay with that. Like, just making sure that, okay, there's land on top. Well, you don't really get to control it, do you? With Frenzy, you don't really get to control it. So basically, it's just when you hit this, you're just going to guarantee that you get that next creature and pitch whatever lands were there. I'm not for sure that this is actually that good with Frenzy. It's just a redraw once you hit it off of Frenzy. So maybe not. And now, if you were able to play it from your hand while a Frenzy was on the battlefield, so once things got clogged up, then you could play this and unclog things. I think that would be better. However, Frenzy doesn't allow for that. So this would have to be on top of your library, and then you'd have to play it, and your next card be that clog. That land, and then it would allow you to push past that. I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is really a Frenzy playable card or not. So remember, I mean, with Frenzy, you have to play it off the top. So I don't think that this replaces Treasure Map, as Treasure Map can allow you to start, going off through your deck. Oh, I hit that land. We'll go ahead and play this land. We'll keep going. Oh, we hit a land. I'll scry with Treasure Map. We'll dump that land. Now we're going to keep going again. So I don't think that this really replaces Treasure Map. So, but that's about all I've got to say about Silhana Wayfinder. I don't know of any other interactions we really need to point out. All right, next here we've got Essence Capture. Right? Not Essence Scatter, but Essence Capture. Double blue for an instant speed Essence Scatter. Counter target creature spell. So because we're having to pay a heftier mana cost for this, being double blue, not just blue and colorless, we get an extra effect on our Essence Scatter. That effect is put a 1/1 counter on up to one target creature. Merfolk counter spell. Does look that way. However, how good is double blue going to be in Merfolk? Now, I would probably play this over an Essence Scatter in my mono blue tempo list, just because I think that this would be really sweet. Putting an extra counter on a Tempest Gen always feels great, especially when you're countering something like Ravenous Chupacabra. Then go ahead and put a counter on my Tempest Gen. That would be absolutely terrific. Putting an extra counter on my 1/1 that is unblockable seems really sweet, and you can do that on turn 2. So the card definitely looks like it would fit in mono blue for sure. I don't know if that mono blue, or sorry, the Azorius tempo deck is going to take shape or not. Looks like there might be something there with Thopters and things like that. But for right now, I definitely see this taking the place over a Essence Scatter. It would just be strictly better than Essence Scatter in mono blue, as all sources of mana are blue anyway. So there's just you're just getting away with the additional cost here. So it's not bad. Right, not that mono blue needed more counter spells. I don't think that this is really like mono blue getting more counter spells, just getting a better Essence Scatter. And like that's the type of tempo deck where you would actually want to see this as well. So yeah, I can see play out of this. It'll get some play. If people are playing Essence Scatter right now, there are going to be decks that can afford the double blue, and you're going to see Essence Capture. But in your 3-color, 4-color decks that are going to be coming up, you're not going to go double blue on your splash. So Essence Scatter is still going to be better. Just because this has Essence Scatter plus other abilities, don't necessarily think that it is just a better Essence Scatter. What happened to my mouse? Come on, mouse. Mousy, mousy. All right, there we go. But again, it will get some play. So let's go to Theater of Horrors. I was so excited when I seen this card for the first time. My cat ate it. Fox. He would. He likes getting moles in the yard. Like during the summertime when there's moles running around the yard, he'll go out there and kill them. I know it's probably mean, but he eats them, so it's not just for sport. Whatever, you eat what you kill there. Anyway, Theater of Horrors. It's an old tomcat. That's what he is. Anyway, Theater of Horrors. Rakdos and 1. So red, black, 1 for an enchantment. It was mentioned the other day in one of my comments. It might have been Shay that said it. We have to start packing enchantment hate, guys. Enchantment hate's going to be a real thing. There's too many just key pieces of enchantment, and bubblegum in their holes. Just let the cat out. It'll deal with the moles. It'll deal with them. That's what I have a cat for. I don't have to go around sticking bubblegum in the holes in my yard. I just let the cat out, and the moles are gone. Anyway, that's why you own a cat. Companionship, whatever. Whatever, right? It's to kill mice and moles and varmints around the farm. That's what cats are for. Jeez. People. They think you're a companion pet. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they don't know how horrible you really are. Yeah, attack my legs for no reason. Anyway, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. During your turn, if an opponent lost life this turn, so if Spectacle was activated, you're going to be able to play those cards that you exiled. So if you exile one this turn, you exile another one next turn, and you never really got around to, activating the ability to ping, which is the last ability here. You can pay 4 mana, 1 red and 3 colorless, to just deal 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So what's actually really cool about this is if you have the mana available and they play a Teferi and down tick on targeting this to bury it, you can ping it with ping that Teferi with the trigger on the stack. You're still going to bury this, but you're going to be able to kill that Teferi. That's pretty sweet. You're going to be able to ping them and gain access to everything this thing has exiled. Now I do not know for sure if the wording is proper for different instances of this card. So this is not a legendary enchantment, so you're going to be able to have multiple copies of these. They will all trigger, and I think that the wording's proper enough so that if you have multiple instances of this, the new instance will still be able to cast the ones from the old instance. However, we weren't able to do that with cards like Ashiok, and that may be true here. I will check that out, and I'll get back to you guys on that particular ability. So if they do Teferi it and it goes away, do you have to just go ahead and put those? It's like Bomat Courier. They're different instances. Okay. All right, so they are different instances. So everyone exiled by each one, when you're playing this in Paper Magic, it's probably going to be better to just exile them under each instance of Theater of Horrors, like you would Bomat Courier, where you grab a card, put it under one, grab a card, put it under the other, and then you can look at those cards and play those cards if you've dealt damage to them. And at least it does have an ability to deal damage. I looked at this card, and the first thing I thought was, now I can play Grixis Control, and I don't need another win con. I will just ping you to death one at a time and control absolutely everything you do, or steal a win con from you with an Eldest Reborn or something like that. But this just looked like a win con to me. So, 20, 25 turns seems good to me. That seems fine. Also, if you do run this in some type of 5-color Nexus deck or something like that, this is a fine win con, especially when you get down to the point where you're just casting Nexus and moving on, cast Nexus, that sort of thing. You can also activate this every turn. So this gives burn more draw. Absolutely. This will be played in your Punisher burn decks. Punisher burn decks are going to absolutely love this. If you're playing some type of Rakdos Wizards burn, maybe even a Grixis Wizards burn or something like that, this card's going to be just wonderful. I did see some people talking about playing this with Frenzy, like in some type of Rakdos Frenzy deck or something like that. And I'm not going to say that Frenzy would be a bad card in this, but I don't think that this is necessarily better than Frenzy, and I don't think in a Frenzy deck you really care about having other effects like this. I think Frenzy is good enough. If you just didn't want to have multiple copies of Frenzy and you wanted to run, 3 Frenzy and then 1 of this, but personally I think Frenzy is better. You can activate and cast the cards exiled with this when a frenzy's on the battlefield. So it does kind of give you that like second hand, and like you don't get to play out of your hand, you get to play off of the frenzy off the top of your library and then the exiled cards from this. So that might be useful if you guys want to go that route with it. But at least like most of the effects in the past, you could only cast the spells exiled that turn, whereas this one will allow you to go into future turns, and I think that makes this card a little bit better, if nothing else. So, Theater of Horrors. I was actually really excited to see this card. I think the card's going to get some play. We've already talked about Domri Raid, so let's go on to the Mesmerizing Bented? Yeah, we'll go with Bented. It's a creature octopus, 4/5. When Mesmerizing Bented enters the battlefield, create 2/0/2 blue illusion creature tokens with. Whenever this creature blocks a creature, that creature gets frozen, doesn't get to untap during its controller's next untap step. So that's not bad. And as long as you have an illusion, it's got hexproof. So that's not bad at all. I really wish this would have had flash. It would have been the perfect blue creature if it would have had flash. I don't really want to tap out for it, but illusion tribal with Jace, is that a thing? Like, are we gonna like use Jace to make, or like, are we gonna jump through hoops to keep hexproof on this? I mean, I would love for them to spend spells targeting my illusions like that would feel really, really good. I don't know. Give me another reason to play Pirate Jace, right? Well, okay, all right. So apparently you guys are going to try this. Cthulhu Jr. All right. It's a thing, I guess. It's a thing. But I'm more interested in the little tokens. So if they do swing on you, the tokens tap their creatures down. So I block, I lose my token, big deal. But now that doesn't untap. That's not horrible. That's not nothing. So yeah, 5 mana for 3 bodies. Yeah, exactly. That part alone, I'm game for what this card is in a vacuum. Much less what other things we could do with it. Right? 5 mana for a 4/5 with 2 additional bodies. The 4/5 is going to be hard to kill. You got to deal with the 2 bodies before you can really deal with the 5 mana 4/5. I also think that that this card is going to play really, really well against cards like Eldest Reborn, things like that. You're going to instantly like board in a can, so that's going to be fun. So flicker it and make 2 more illusion bros. See, that doesn't seem bad either. That doesn't seem bad either. Yeah, that's good. You could also play this, play the kickable blue or giant blue guy that returns everything but octopus and stuff. Right? Okay. And so you return all your illusions; those are gone and everything. But you get the Leviathan and the octopus, and okay, there could be some stuff. There could be some type of deep water tribal going on. Slinvoda. Is that the octopus? Quanzai duplicate? Oh, Quanzai duplicate would be good. I mean, for 3 mana, you would be making a ton of power right there. That'd be and you would be going really, really wide. That would be pretty good. Seal away after they block. What's the point of blocking if you're just going to seal them away? I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Anyway, use Arcane Adaptation to make sure the illusions don't get hit. Okay. Okay. Yeah, turn these things into illusions. Oh, wow. Right? So Arcane Adaptation, all of your creatures would be an illusion. You would meet the clause of as long as you control an illusion, it would have hexproof, so it would be an illusion. You would control an illusion, and then it would permanently have hexproof. Is that worth it? Yep. Madness says, I'm building it, can't stop, won't stop. Right? All right. So Mesmerizing Beneth. Yeah, I'm sure I butchered that. All right, so we're caught up to 9 hours ago, ladies and gentlemen. We got Skatewing Spy. This is a 4-mana 2/3 with Adept 2 for 6 mana. So after you add up, you would have a 4/5. So total of 10 mana investment for a 4/5. This is not as beautiful as the last card, but each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has flying. Ding! Right. This is probably pretty good for limited. With the I think that the Adept ability is going to be really good in limited. You guys are all saying that this card, or well, we're having a couple people say that this card's bonkers. Play it with favorable winds, things like that. Maybe that's where you want to be with this. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have flying, and that's all you're really worried about, just having that. But right now, we have Hulse in the format, which just says creatures you control can't be blocked. And that alone, like, is flying better than unblockable? I'm sure if you're on the defense, then yeah, flying would be better than unblockable, giving you more avenues to block. But we're not playing Hulse as Herald of Secret Streams, guys. We're not playing Hulse right now, so I don't really know if I would play this either. So I don't know. Like, ask yourself if you would play Herald of Secret Streams or would you play this. In all reality, I might actually play this. I might actually rather have flying for the defensive capabilities of flying versus the aggressive capabilities, because like evasion from flying is also pretty aggressive. You can get in when you need to against most decks, especially against the Golgari decks. However, against the Golgari decks, you're going to open yourself up to Vivian Reed. You're going to be putting your biggest dudes up in the air. Vivian Reed's going to be able to shoot them down. You're going to be able to you are going to have to worry about those type of effects. But I don't know. Again, Hulse versus this guy. Where do you go with it? So I like the implications that it gives. I like the fact that this is even more support to a +1/+1 count or +1/+1 deck in Simic colors, and I think we're going to see a lot of that. And I'm looking forward to a lot of +1/+1 and stuff in Simic. So it should be great. Speaking of that, let's look at the Simic Guild Mage. Combined Guild Mage, like all the other Guild mages, you get to cast those for their guild colors. So 1 blue, 1 green for Simic here. You get a creature Merfolk Wizard with 2 sweet abilities like all of the others. For the first ability, it's going to be green and a colorless, and tap it. This creature... Alright, so this turn, creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them. Oh my goodness, this is Oran-Reef the Vastwood on a creature. That deck's pretty good. In case you guys didn't know it, this would be absolutely bonkers in, and I'm using chat's word here, bonkers. It would be bonkers in some type of elf ball type effect. Like that effect is really, really powerful. You are having to pay 2 mana to get started on it, but being able to bring everything in with +1/+1 counters on them would be absolutely terrific. However, if you are playing Adapt creatures, you may not actually want this. Adapt can't be activated if a creature already has a +1/+1 counter on it, unless you have the new Adapt guy that says you can activate Adapt as if the creature had 0 +1/+1 counters on it. So that would be a thing. However, if you do get your Adapt creatures down, you do put 1 +1/+1 counter on them. The turn that you expect to spend all of your mana on Adapt, you might be able to get away with doing something like removing that +1/+1 counter from one dude, putting it on another dude, and then adapting the dude that didn't have the +1/+1 counter on it anymore, and you do that with a second ability. So 1 blue and 1 colorless, tap it, move a 1/1 counter from target creature you control onto another target creature you control. So it does give you a little bit of flexibility with your +1/+1 counters, where you put those and things like that. However, I don't know if I would want this in an Adapt deck, but it does seem pretty sweet. In a Riot deck, I'm just using Riot to think of ways that I can make my creatures outgrow cards like Lava Coil and things like that. If you can get your creatures to just naturally outgrow some of these sorcery speed removal spells, then you're going to be doing some serious work. So, yeah. You don't think this has a home in Standard? I think that this has a home in a specific build, and if that build does hit, then it'll have a home for sure. But you're going to want to be in that +1/+1 counters deck, and it's going to take a little bit of time to see if it's going to take a little bit of time to see if that +1/+1 counters deck is adapt or if it's some other build. And like I said, if it's some other build, then you might see this. So that's Combined Guild Mage. Let's get to the Galloping Lizrog. Man, what a crawl on that guy, right? Jeez. Anyway, what a dude. Man, he should have had like the flared up, because like he's running like one of those lizards, right? So he should have been all flared up, like the Jurassic Park lizard. You know which one I'm talking about. The one that got Newman. The one that got Newman. And if you guys don't know who Newman is, then I've just dated myself way too far. Alright, so we've got Simic, colors, and 3 for a 3/3 with trample. When Galloping Lizrog okay, I get it. Alright, so it's a lizard frog. That's why he's got the big crawl. Okay. Enters the battlefield, you may remove any number of +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. If you do, put twice that many +1/+1 counters on Galloping Lizrog. Uh-oh. So is this a payoff for the other +1/+1 counter brew? The Frog Lizard. We were talking about those +1/+1 counters and different ways to do that. Someone just mentioned Simic Ascendancy. Now, that's a card that cares about how many +1/+1 counters are on creatures. So let's say we play a whole bunch of small creatures and we've got like our Beast Whisperer combo rolling out. So we keep playing cards, and we get to our Galloping Lizrog. All of those creatures have +1/+1 counters on them because we used our Guild Mage to make sure that that happened. Then you move them all to, remove them all and get Galloping Lizrog. That, man, first brew of the new set, calling it now. Rocker is locking it in. He's like, I'm brewing this. We're building the non-adept Galloping Lizrog. You're gonna figure this out, huh, Rocker? Well, I look forward to it, sir. I do. Galloping Lizrog. There's some implications here. This could become a huge dude. However, you're going to have that moment, right? You're going to have that moment where this is still a 3/3 creature. It's going to enter the battlefield. It enters the battlefield. You may remove any number of +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. So the trigger is going to go onto the stack. I think that the trigger will have to resolve before you start removing +1/+1 counters. So if they go ahead and kill the Lizrog with the trigger on the stack, I don't think you'll have to remove those +1/+1 counters. So it doesn't look as punishing as it may seem, but there is going to be that moment where you can burn this with a lightning strike or something of that nature. So do be on the lookout for that. Yeah, just cast it down, right? Okay, just cast it down. No need to worry. No need to worry. We're all running black. I figured people will just cast Mortify on it, or it's the biggest thing they control, so I'm just going to consume it. So I'll let it become a 15/15. I'll consume this and gain 15 life. Yeah. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of ways to kill it. It dies to removal, ladies and gentlemen. It does die to removal. Alright, so we got United Stand. Man, if this is not a Boros mirror match card, if I've ever seen one. So we've got a 3-mana instant speed white enchantment, or white spell here. So 3 mana instant speed, 1 white, 2 colorless. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, but it's got addendum on it. If you cast this spell during your main phase, which is the addendum clause, put a +1/1 counter on each of those creatures. They also gain vigilance until end of turn. So you're going to be able to play this in the mirror match, or any go wide versus go wide strategy, or any like white weenie strategy. Aggressive creatures, that sort of thing. You've got a bunch of dudes out. Basically, your white weenie shells replaces Pride of Conquerors, replaces what is it, Cleansing Light? What's the other one everyone's playing, right? Like, I forget, like Charge and some of the others. Charge is only 1 mana. It's a pretty good spell, but this is going to replace a lot of things. So you're going to have that option. Again, we're getting a lot of cards that have more option. Now, I'm going to break away, and we're going to talk about something there in just a moment, because I was talking about this the other day, and this is a good time to bring it up. But this is going to give us the option of going, all right, I want to attack this turn. Let's go ahead, make my dudes bigger. We're going to guarantee that I don't take anything nothing negative will happen to you from this attack unless your opponent's holding Settle the Wreckage. So you will, go ahead and cast this on your main phase. Then you will, you'll have vigilance. Your creatures are not going to tap. You're going to, get in. They have indestructible as well. Gain off your life link, things like that. Doing this on a History of Benalia Chapter 3 turn, doing things like that. It's going to be absolutely great. But you also have that option to be really defensive with this. So, you're waiting for them to make their big alpha strike, and you're like, okay, well, I need to make unfavorable blocks here. Let's go ahead and united stand, and now we won't have to make unfavorable blocks. We'll block, 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 block. It's no big deal. And then you might get to, crack back on or attack back on the crackback and kill them. So, that's a thing. Now, from what I'm seeing here, we're getting more and more cards that have a ton of options that put the option in our hands. Now, if you listen to Dev a lot, and everyone knows that I listen to, I watch Dev's deck techs and his spoiler videos and things, and I really like Dev as a channel, and I'm a member of that community, and I really like it. And he uses a word the word agency a lot, and so agency is giving you that option, right? So I'm going to use that here. We're seeing a lot of agency in cards being printed. And that makes me think that that's going to allow us to build more decks that can swing wide on the right side, swing wide on the left side to cover multiple versions of these decks. So, you got control over here, and you've got, your aggressive decks over here, and you're wanting to fit somewhere in the middle of those. And, you're going to need to be able to, have cards that answer things over here and have cards that answer things over here. And having cards with all of these options seems really, really good for the best of one, formats. It's going to allow us to just, play more toolbox style cards. And if that's what they meant by, cards being designed for arena or design having arena in mind, and a lot of us took that as that's going to dilute our game. That's going to make our game so much worse. If that actually means them printing cards that give you more options, that's going to bring a new layer of depth to our games. Every card having multiple scenarios where it's good, or it doesn't work in this scenario, but it works over here, or it works works well in multiple scenarios. That's going to be a good thing. And if that's really what they meant by designing cards for Arena, then I'm all about them designing cards for Arena, because this is good. This is good. I like Addendum. I like the split cards. I like how they have value versus multiple types of decks. When we've seen some of the split cards earlier, they would be good against control decks where you draw a card on the front half, but against more mid-range or aggressive decks, they had answers for that too, just like Discovery Dispersal. So if that's part of the new design because of Arena, I'm game for it. I am. I think it'll bring some very interesting decisions to my Magic games, and I like that. Now here we've just got a 3 mana instant speed Burn Bright. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. It's just a an assault. It just that extra damage. Not bad. So standard by the Somerset is going to be the most busted down meta we've ever seen. Like the golden age of the Jedi Order, only a lot less mistakes made by the idiot Jedi. You was wrong about Addendum. I think Addendum's going to be pretty decent. So imagine playing this, attacking with a lot of dudes, then convoking in Loxodon. Yeah. This all sounds great. You just put 2+1/1 counters, got additional cast off. Like that would be absolutely terrific. Also, like cleaning up whatever they thought was going to kill you on the crackback that they didn't block with some type of because you still had creatures unblockable. You want out, buddy? Let me let him out, guys. I'm sure you can hear that. Anyway, so this card's it's okay. I mean, if there's a Goblins deck out there that's really trying to go wide or something like that, then yeah, we might actually see this get some play. But I'm not really excited about this combat trick. It's just kind of blah, So, what were the thoughts on the Frog Lizard? The Frog Lizard could be really good. The Frog Lizard could actually cause certain archetypes to be built around it. It may be the key part to the non-adept, or maybe even the adept, +1/1 counter build. So this is just Trumpet Blast, which sees no play. Exactly. So exactly. Did I call it Assault? I did, didn't I? Anyway, let's look at the Syndicate Guild Mage. Now, this is the Orzhov Guild Mage. So, like the other Guild Mages, Orzhov colors, 1 black, 1 white. And you get 2 sweet abilities. The first one is 1 white and 1 colorless. Tap it, and you get to tap down target creature with power 4 or greater. That's nothing new. White spells carrying about power 4 or greater, things like that, toughness 4 or greater. There's been a lot of white restrictions on typically black abilities, and they were restricted by power. Stuff like that. So that's nothing new. It's a pretty standard ability. We've seen this on things in the past, or cards abilities like this on the things in the past. It's not the worst thing in the world, but most of the big creatures being played right now have some sort of protection. However, this would be really good to hold down something like a Doom Whisperer or something like that. So it could control some of those bigger cards. Being able to do this at the beginning, or at the beginning of combat on their turn, and then being able to tap down yet another creature that might have entered the battlefield. The next turn, tapping down 2 blockers might be really good. So we may see something out of that. However, I'm not really impressed by this particular 2/2. It does have another ability, so 1 black and 4 colorless, 5 mana total. You can tap this and it'll deal 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. It's not even drain, which I would have expected more drain out of the Guild Mage. But, I mean, it will deal damage to target opponent for 5 mana. I'm not really impressed by this one, so think I skipped one. There's a 5/5 Frog Warrior that does stuff. I don't think I skipped the 5/5 Frog Warrior yet. Anyway, next here we have Ministrant of Obligation. Okay, so we've got 1 white, 2 colorless. It's a 2/1 with Afterlife 2. Whenever this creature dies, create 2 1/1 black and white spirit creature tokens with flying. 3 mana 2/1, doesn't pass the vanilla test, but if it doesn't get exiled, then you do get the Afterlife triggers. Now we do have to remember that the black spells are going to be running the -2/-2, so we'll see. All in all, I think this card is just kind of blah. It might fit into an Afterlife themed deck or something like that, but I'm really just not seeing it. However, getting a free Lingering Souls isn't bad when this dies. We did play like Martyr of Dusk and things like that. So we might see it. We might see it. And, Afterlife 2, that part alone is really good. So I'll give you that, Eric. That the Afterlife 2 is that's a Lingering Souls, man. So you kill this and you don't exile it, I cast Lingering Souls for free. That's a good way to look at it. All right, moving on. That was Ministrant of Obligation. Orzhov Racketeers. So we've got a 5 mana 3/2 here. It better have a good ability, right? It's a human rogue. 1 black and 4 colorless for the 3/2 body. It has Afterlife 2, so it does have Lingering Souls attached to it, but whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. That's not a horrible ability. I would much rather have that for that price for it to be an enter the battlefield trigger. It enters the battlefield, player loses a card. That would fit into the mono black burn theme, the Fel Spectre theme, things like that. So maybe, but I don't really know if I would want to pay 5 mana for my 3/2, even if it had Afterlife 2 on it. So I think this one's a little bit overpriced to get much play. But then again, it could be mean. It could be very mean in something like something like limited. But I just don't think this is a standard playable card. So, all right. Did I skip a bunch of cards? Yes, I skipped a whole row. So here we go. All right, you guys got me. If I do this, then that means, oh. All right, so here we go. Rakdos Hackrobat. Okay, Hackrobat. It took me a moment. Sorry, Hackrobat. For some reason, yeah. We've got red, black, and 1 Spectacle of 2 for this human rogue. It's a 2/3 with 2 abilities on it. 1 black, and it gains Death Touch until end of turn. 1 red, it gets +2, -2 until end of turn. So it becomes a 4/1. That's not horrible. That's not horrible at all. Becoming a 4/1 is pretty good. Giving it Death Touch is also pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, if they block it, then they lose whatever they blocked it with. And if they don't block it, you could easily just make this thing huge. Okay. I mean, this might actually be playable. I mean, if you get it down for the Spectacle cost, you just paid 2 mana for a 2/3. I can get behind that. A Hackler that's flexible. The name alone is flavorful. I like it. It's interesting. It's definitely an interesting card. Especially if you can get away with the Spectacle cost, right? If you can get away with the Spectacle cost, then you're threatening a lot with the options that are on this card. I really like seeing all of the options on cards. It's really going to make us pay more attention to what each individual card does. I don't know if that's going to be good or bad when we're playing this on Arena and things like that, but it's definitely going to be interesting. So, Hackrobat could be standard playable. Could be a standard playable card. 4 more cards just got spoiled. Sweet. I will refresh when we get done with this, and we'll jump into those as well. But right now, we're going to look at Rakdos Roustabout. Another 3 mana Rakdos card. So for this one, 3 mana, we get a 3/2. That's getting a lot closer on the. I mean, I don't know. I would. In some scenarios, would we rather have the extra power or the extra toughness? I think as long as it's not a 1 toughness, most of the time you want the extra power. Hence why we play Merfolk, Branchwalker over Seeker Squire. So having the extra power, especially in an aggressive deck, does sound like it would be better. So this might be better as far as the natural cost. 3 mana for a 3/2 versus the last card we've seen. But the last card actually has the potential to swing for even more power, but it does require a mana investment. Now, when Rakdos Roustabout becomes block, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. So you're always going to activate that spectacle cost when you swing this. Even if they block, you're going to activate that spectacle cost. That is pretty sweet. So, the Shaman. This is the Ogre Warrior. Rachnos split card and a 1/1. Okay, all right. You guys are like so not with me here. I promise we will look at those cards as soon as we get through looking at these. Right now, though, we've got to talk about one of the biggest cards to be spoiled this weekend, and that is Kaya's Wrath. All right, now this is a real card. Like we've been bouncing around a little bit. This is a real card. You're spoiling my spoiler video. You're giving spoilers out before we get to them. Kaya's Wrath. All right, so double. It's the double. Wow, so a double that's not a creature. I like it. Madness. Come on, dude. Man, I can't even just remove that comment. How did I just remove? Whatever. Anyway, destroy all creatures. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you control that were destroyed this way. Yeah, it's Damnation. It's Wrath of God. It's all of those. Now you are paying, the double black. You are paying the double white. You are putting this in a Orzhov deck. However, this could also be a Mardu deck. This looks like another piece for a Mardu control deck that is definitely looks like it's shaping up. A Mardu control deck is 100% shaping up with all the Mardu base removal we have. You're going to want to be in double black. You're going to want to be in double white, and you're going to want to have some red spells, not necessarily in double red, which looks like there's going to be something there. Now, this is also reminiscent of the most recent board wipe that we've had, which was a 5-mana board wipe, but it also gave us life for the number of creatures that were destroyed this way. However, this one's a little bit different than that. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you control that were destroyed this way. Now, I don't know how good that's going to be. I think it would be even better if you just gain life equal to the number of creatures that were destroyed. However, that might be the tipping point that requires 5 mana. As of right now, I am just happy to have another 4-mana Wrath back in Standard. It has been quite some time. I want to say the last time that we had a good 4-mana Wrath was Supreme Verdict. I don't think we've had 4-mana Wraths since then, and we're going back to that, which should be pretty sweet. Like this card's the real deal. Ritual of Soot. Am I a joke to you? Yeah, so Ritual of Soot is a joke to this card. This card's much better than Ritual. This will destroy Carnage Tyrant. Ritual of Soot laughs at, or Carnage Tyrant laughs at Ritual of Soot. Like, it's just a little smoke in his face. Doesn't get up tall enough for those big cards, However, when she gets mad, apparently she does. She gets quite large. So, Indestructible might be decent. So, I mean, if you've got, your United Stand and they cast this, then, you're gonna have a counterspell to it in white, which is also versatile in other decks too. So now what this does say is they're not going to be tapping out. Like if they're running this card, they're not holding up for settle. This is not a sorcery speed, or this is not an instant speed card. So you're going to know, and you're just going to be able to completely start rebuilding on turn 4 instead of worrying about whether or not you swing in. Playing around settle and playing around absolute wraths are completely different things. You can continue to apply pressure onto the board if you're not playing around a wrath. However, if you're playing around a wrath, you can continue to apply pressure to your opponent. However, you can't apply much more pressure to the board. So with settle, it's the other way around. You put pressure on, like you put more things on the board, which can create that alpha swing type thing. but then you can only swing in with so many or so many of your creatures, for fear of losing them. And this is going to change that, so it's going to give even more dynamic to worrying about what we're doing. Are we building up for Settle? Are we building up for Akaya's Wrath? What is going on? Do we add more to the battlefield? So that sort of thing. So even more decisions that will have to be made when we're playing against these Orzhov decks. All right, chat. No, Ritual is not a true Wrath. It's going to be an Esper Winter. You might be right. It may be an Esper Winter. This looks like it would be really good in Esper. It also looks like it's going to be really, really good in the Mardu decks, even if it's in the sideboard of like the Mardu tokens and Afterlife builds and things like that. Heaven forbid you destroy a bunch of creatures that have Afterlife on them. You destroy all of your opponent's creatures and you happen to have had some type of divine visitation on the battlefield. All your Afterlife triggers go off. You gain all the life from your dudes dying. And your Judith made some triggers on some other things that will ping planeswalkers and opponents. And then you get a bunch of angels. Like, you could have some really stupid stuff happen here. So I think that we're definitely in for a really beast Mardu deck. And Esper also looks like it's going to be pretty mean too. So definitely a good tool for Esper. All right, you think there needed to be a good answer to all the Gruul aggro that's going to happen? Yes, and this is a 100% like perfect answer for that. However, because of its nature, you're not going to see it as in much Jeskai, so I do expect a lot of the Jeskai decks to shift. They will draw a card when you cast this against a Niv Mizzet, however, Dive Down's not going to save them. That's Kaya's Wrath. Let's look at Salvage Smash. Now, Salvage Smash is 3 mana for a sorcery speed spell. 1 green, 1 red, 1 colorless. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It fights target creature you don't control. That's okay. It could have been instant for 3 mana. Come on. Like, we had what card did we have? What was it? What command was it? Dromoka's Command for 2 mana. Instant speed. Yes, that card was good. That card was really good, but this could have easily been 1 red, 1 green. This card could have been 1 red, 1 green and still been instant, and I don't think it would have caused much of a problem. No, I mean Dromoka's Command. Dromoka's Command would put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. That creature would fight another target creature you control. Or you could destroy, make your target opponent sacrifice an enchantment. So, it's a combat trick, or not even a combat trick because of the sorcery speed. So, yeah, it's removal, common removal in your limited games. So it's worth looking at. Probably going to be a limited all-star. So I mean, removal's always good in those formats, and we haven't seen a lot of removal spoiled. So other like Gruul type removal. So maybe it's going to be necessary. We'll see. Moving on to Sauroform Hybrid. Okay. Sauroform Hybrid is a 2 mana 2/2. Passes the vanilla test. All right, we passed. Yay! 2 mana 2/2 with Adapt 4 on it. So 6 mana to Adapt 4. If this creature doesn't have a +1/+1 counter on it, you may activate its Adapt ability, which will put 4 +1/+1 counters on it. So total of 8 mana for a 6/6. No other abilities, will remain a generic creature at that point, unless you have some ability to give it Adapt again without the +1/+1 counters on it. Then you could eventually turn it into a 10/10. But that's a big cost. That's a big cost. But yeah, it does pass the vanilla test. The vanilla test basically normally says whether the card is worth playing in limited. You don't want to play less than vanilla cards, so passing vanilla test as a 2 mana 2/2 is a common slot seems fine. Seems perfectly fine. I mean, we played Jungle Delver. We played Jungle Delver, and we were happy about it in limited. Like, Jungle Delver was a limited like bomb because like you just had mana sinks at the end of. Like, Jungle Delver was good in limited. I liked it. Yeah. C-Form Hybrid. All right, let's check out Gruul Beastmaster. That's pretty cool, hopefully. So this is a 4-mana 2/2. Fails the vanilla test. However, it does have Riot, so you can make it at least a 3/3. And when it enters the battlefield, another target creature you control is going to get +X until end of turn, where X is Gruul Beastmaster's power. Now, do remember that Riot will resolve as it enters the battlefield. It will enter the battlefield with that +1/1 counter on it, or with haste. So once the second ability is triggered, you will already have your +1/1 counter on it. So if you do need to make this into a 3/3 to give additional power to another creature, you can do that. So this is an X. When does it check? So when the ability is put onto the stack, you will have to go ahead and select what creature you want to put this on. I do believe that with the ability on the stack, you would be able to pump Gruul Beastmaster to give additional power and toughness, but if you had instant speed, pump, why wouldn't you just put it on the other creature in the first place? So I think X is going to be checked on the stack on resolution, but we'll see. It triggers when it attacks. Oh, when it attacks. I thought it was when it entered the battlefield. My bad. Okay, so I got to go back on that. Scrap all of that. Scrap everything I just said. Scrap everything. Right. Attacks. This is why we do this live, right? Okay. When Gruul Beastmaster attacks another target creature you control, gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X. Alright, well then it's worth it pumping here, because you got this guy coming through as well. Giving that extra +1/1 counter would be sweet. Yeah, okay. I wish it gave, it feels like a red ability with the X0, but yeah. Click, deleted. Alright, thanks guys. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, because you know you love this, alright? Whenever Gruul Beastmaster attacks. Okay, so is that any more special? I mean, we never use Cruel Harpooner, right? Cruel Harpooner gives things +X/+0 till end of turn, or gives itself that, or something like that. We never get to swing with that. We never get away with that. So I guess it's better that it's an attack ability. Does that make it is there any other cool things we can do with it now that's an attack ability that's just not stupid straightforward? Pump it, trigger goes on the stack when you attack. X is checked. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's not even special now. It's not enter the battlefield trigger. It's just simple. Okay, whatever. Moving on. It was tricky when it was enter the battlefield, damn it. Alright, so Dree Engineer, right? It's like a gene but a tree. Dree. I don't know. We're just gonna go with Dree Engineer. You get Simic and 1, so 1 blue, 1 green, 1 colorless for a 1/1 Vidalcan Wizard. It's a wizard. It's a wizard. It will produce 1 green and 1 blue, so it will produce Simic colors for you. You can Llanowar, get this on turn 2, turn 3, have 6 mana. Whatever you can do with 6 mana. Gyre Engineer, or would it be more like Gyre, like Gyre Engineer? I don't know. Whatever. I don't like it. It's a 3-mana 1/1 that's going to die to everything that can kill a Llanowar Elf, and everyone can kill a Llanowar Elf. Dies to Fanatical Firebrand. If this was a 1/2, it would have been more playable. Unless you're just really trying to do something special on turn 3. I just can't think of anything for 6 mana that you would want to play, though. I mean, there's no good 6-drops in Standard right now. So unless there was a 6-drop that was printed that was worth playing, then you'd play. Then you probably wouldn't play this. I'm sure somebody can figure out something really good to play on turn 3 for 6 mana. But until then, you know, like, do you really want to take the risk of you turn one your Land War Elf, turn two you play this, and turn? I mean, is come on, Pack Rat, is Carnage Tyrant really getting any play? Like, the card's it's mediocre at best, right? Like, would it be any better on turn three? I don't know. This definitely loosens up that play. We have that play in Standard right now where you go Land of War into a Druidic Owl into another Land of War Elf, and then you turn three a Carnage Tyrant, which is almost unbeatable. Right? So if that's almost unbeatable, this is going to remove some of the necessary cards you need to make that turn go off. Whereas before you would need to have multiple copies of a 4 of in your deck, then have a specific other card. Whereas this one you only need to have the one copy of Land of War Elf, the one copy of the Engineer, and then you can get into that big Carney T on turn 3 play. Yes, that's the play that. Yeah, he's doing the thing again, guys. He's doing the thing again, right? I tried to lay on the facetiousness very quick, very thick. I figured you guys would catch on. But yes, every streamer, every spoiler video I have seen mentioned the fact that you can get a turn 3 Carnage Tyrant out with this. So I didn't want to like just jump straight into, oh look, it's a turn 3 Carnage Tyrant. But that's pretty much what it is. I mean, you turn 3 a Carnage Tyrant. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. If that happens, your opponent's pretty much dead. If they don't have a Kaya's Wrath, if they do, this requires you to have only 2 cards to make that happen. So it's a lot better. But yeah, it does enable that. It does enable that play. There you go. Turn 3 Dream Eater, says Skylar. Skylar's dreaming big, right? We can Dream Eater on turn 3 on their turn. Yeah. So when they go Deafening Clarion on their turn 3, I can flash in a Dream Eater. On second thought. Moving on to Trollbred Guardian. Better be like Thrun. This ain't Thrun. All right, Trollbred Guardian is a green and 4 colorless for a 5/5. So 5 mana 5/5. I'm already liking it. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. I like this. I might like this better than flying, guys. And it has a really affordable Adept 2 ability. That's a really sweet ability. I don't have to pay 6 mana for Adept 4 or something. It's already a good hefty creature. And then we can pay 3 mana to Adapt 2. That gives me a 7/7 with trample. He does turn himself on. So Friend to Gorfiend, right? Okay, so Gorfiend, yeah, that does seem like a friend old Gorfiend. Does trigger Sarkhan's Unsealing. He is a 5/5 on cast. Yeah, this dude's going to be huge. I definitely think you're going to be trying to draft this in the Adept decks. If you're anywhere near that, you're going to be trying to draft it. This card's going to be great. 5 mana 5/5 that can become a 7/7 with trample, giving all of your other dudes that may have grown quite large trample as well. This will be a limited bomb, and it's possible it could end up with some standard play if we do see that deck in standard. His favorite food is crawl. Isn't that the little bug people like Crawl Harpooner, right? Little bug people. The little gruel guys living under the ground, like guard the gruel in the hive layer. Anyway, I like this card. Troll Frog Warrior. I like it. I like it. I actually like this card. Yeah, I think this card's pretty sweet. Okay, so let's refresh and see these new cards that were just spoiled. I have to go put a timestamp on. Everyone come check out these new cards. Uh-oh, what happened? So, a couple hours ago, last one we seen was Orzhov Racketeers. So, Archway Angel, 6 mana for a 3/4 flyer. Archway Angel enters the battlefield. You gain 2 life for each gate you control. That's a lot of life gain if you're in the gate deck. So, Goreclaw, did I say Goreclaw? Yeah, or did I say Gorefiend? Okay, Goreclaw. My bad. My bad. Come on. You know what I said when I. You know. Are you. Never mind. You know what I meant when I said what I did. Arcway Angel. Blah, blah, blah. Unless the Gates deck becomes a thing, I just don't think we like this. I don't think this gets any play without a Gates deck. In a Gates deck, however, this could be a phenomenal card. This could be really good. So depending on how the Gates deck truly unfolds, then we definitely might see Arcway Angel get a little bit of play. But as it stands, I don't know. All right, so we get a red creature here. This one is 2 mana for a 1/3 Viashino Shaman. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land that isn't a mana ability, Immolation Shaman deals 1 damage to that player. So Immolation Shaman. All right, so an artifact, a creature, or land that isn't mana, ping them. You could also pay 5 mana, so double red and 3 to give it +3/+3 and menace until end of turn. So if you want to swing with a 4/6 with menace, that you can do that as well. You could also use that to protect him. +3/+3 will play around multiple different burns. You can do this at instant speed, so if they go to lava coil this or something of that nature, you get to pay 5 mana, protect it. You're also giving it 6 body, which blocks really well against a lot of things. Now, no, it's not going to block really well against Carnage Tyrant, as Carnage Tyrant's got a 6 body of his own, and this is only going to have 5 power. But it's an interesting little card. If a lot of activated abilities were a thing, I think we would see some of the other forms of this ability in play. I can't think of them right now, but I know we have a couple. Like there's like a Runic Armosaur or something like that. That whenever someone activates an ability of basically anything, then you get to like draw a card or something like that. And I'd rather draw a card than deal 1 damage, even in a red deck. So I don't know. I don't know how much I like this card. I'm not going to say that it's nothing, but it would be pretty decent if like adapt decks and ability decks were a thing. This would give us an answer to those. So a 1/3 body on a relevant hater for 2 mana. You're sold. You think it'll be a sideboard staple. I think that it's 100% a sideboard card. I think that if we see something like that adept deck actually become a thing, then maybe this would be really good for that. However, if we don't see that, then I don't really think so. All right, moving on. That was the Immolation Shaman. We've got a Salamander Drake, a 1 mana 1/1 with flying. Adept 4. And then it add up 4 for 1 blue and 7 colorless. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. So, if you've got 7 instant or sorceries in your graveyard, you can have a 2 mana 5/5. That does kind of punish Doom Whisperer activations. Does make Doom Whisperer activations cost 4 or cost 2 or 3. This many, whatever. Anyway, Chromium's activation, but whether or not the situation is relevant is meh. Right, so there's some creatures that it would stop. It would stop all the guild mages and things like that. Stop all the adept triggers and stuff. But here I'm more interested in a 2 mana 5/5. We played Jace's Illusion back in the day. We played some cards like that, or Jace's Phantasm. Something I think might have been the name of it. We had to go through some hoops to make that 1 mana 1/1 into something more than that. But as you're pulling your 1 mana 1/1s late game, then you're really loving it. Meanwhile, on turn 1, you played a 1 mana flyer that has some evasion and is getting in, helping you with that tempo. I'm not opposed to this. I'm not opposed to this at all. especially if I can get away with activating it a little bit later. So, um, hey, its name is its creature type. Right, it's Salamander Drake, and it's a Salamander Drake. So, it does fit with the Drake theme where you want to churn through a ton of spells. I like this card. I think this card is pretty decent. Would I play this over Siren Storm Tamer? No. Would I play this over Mistcloak Herald? Possibly. If there was some world where I was ending up in, a favorable winds deck, I would not mind playing this, and then just kind of have my counter spells and stuff. Maybe favorable winds. This is great. However, yeah. I think it's actually interesting that they made it both. You lazy if you want, but it's cool enough for me. I'll take it. I think it's cool that he like blows up the sack on his back and then kind of floats off of that. Right. Anyway, that's the Salamander Drake. Let's move on to the split card. We got a Rakdos split card. So neck breaking time. All right. Oh. All right. Attire, instant speed. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Holy cow. Holy cow. +3/+3 until end of turn for double black or double red. That's really good in aggressive decks. It's going to be really good to fight against, creature type decks and things like that. But next here we have destroy target non-basic land. Perform deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So popping a land for 6 mana at instant speed. Oh, is it? Oh, it is +3/-3. Okay. So we had like some cards in the past that would do that, like +4/-4, where if you played them, with 4 powered creatures, you could actually, or 4 toughness creatures, you could kill them. If you play them, with a bunch of 5 toughness creatures, you could have a buff out of it. So in certain situations, you're killing small stuff, you're buffing your big stuff. Does fit in those type of decks. However, 6 mana land destruction, I'm not impressed, even if I am getting to do a couple points of damage. So. I don't know. I guess you could use it as a little bit of removal. In a land destruction deck, you're going to be begging for a little bit of removal anyway, so who knows. I'm not super excited. This one doesn't tickle my fancy near as much as the Orzhov one did. So, Cult Guildmage. We've got the Rakdos Guildmage here. So, like the others, Rakdos colors, 1 red, 1 black will get us a 2/2, passing the vanilla test for a human shaman that has 2 abilities. The black ability is 1 black and 3 colorless. Tap it. Target player discards a card. Activate this ability only as a sorcery, though. So we're kind of getting, a duress type card, only we don't get information. They just have to lose a card, which is kind of, reminiscent of, old style Rakdos with, cards like Rakdos Return, where, you had, Rakdos colors and X. Target opponent would, take X life and discard X cards, where you don't actually have a lot of agency. There's that word again. You don't have a lot of agency here on this ability, but the fact that you have the ability available to you is agency itself. It being instant speed would have implied much more, because then you would have been able to stop at the beginning of their upkeep, at the end of their draw step, and make them lose whatever card that they had just drawn. So it makes sense that they had to make this at a sorcery speed, but I really like my instant speed discard, because you can just lock your opponent out of ever being able to play anything ever again. That alone would probably make this card broken, so I do understand sorcery speed. The red ability here, 1 red and tap. Cult Guildmage deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Spectacle. So this would work really good with the theater of horrors, as you could get away with just pinging your opponents to death here. Deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker for 1 mana, and then now that you've dealt that damage, you can access the cards that you have in exile from your theater. I might be interested. I like the fact that theater has the ability on it, but it might be worth it to have this laying around. So not bad. Oh yeah, use it as removal. Oh, okay, the other card, right? The -3. Definitely, you could definitely do that. All right, so that's the Cult Guild Mage. Is there anything else that I'm missing about the Cult Guild Mage? Like, is there something else we might be able to do with this? I mean, we're just dealing 1 damage. Do we have a way to untap it and more red to deal more damage? Like, is there a way we can deal? I don't know. We'll see. And next here we have the Azorius split card. So back to neck breaking. Azorius colors, so double blue or double white or one of either. Put target attacking or blocking creature on top of its owner's library. Now, to a lot of people that might be new to Magic, you're probably not really used to this effect. And you probably don't think that it's that great. However, it is. Okay, so putting a card on top of your opponent's library, not just back in their hand, stops their next card draw, right? So now they have to redraw that card, much less spend the mana to cast it again. So you actually just gave them a negative card advantage. It's not quite the same as making them discard a card, unless you're thinking of that as discard a card, suspend 1. I'm going to make you discard a card next turn, right? So basically, I'm making you discard or stall off of the next card you would have drawn. So time walking is very, very important, right? Stopping your opponent from getting that next card, taking that next step, is really, really good, and especially if they've got to go ahead and tap out to put this back onto the battlefield. This first ability is pretty sweet. Now the Warden part of it, so that was the Warrant. Here's the Warden. So 5 mana here, 1 blue, 1 white, and 3. Create a 4/4 white and blue Sphinx creature token with flying and vigilance. It's a sorcery speed. You're going to pay 5 mana for a 4/4. Yes, Teferi is a time-walking walker. He will time-walk you 2 turns from now, right? Because okay, well, 3 turns from now, because he puts your card third from the top. So, Warrant is going to be pretty good. That's a good bounce ability, and then Warden is when you don't need Warrant, I guess. If you were happy with running something like, Vapor Snag or something like that in the past, then this might be worth it for you. You're not actually doing that extra point of damage, and you got to pay a little bit more for it, but you're putting those creatures back on top of the library. Again, if it's Carnage Tyrant, it ain't going to matter because you can't do it. So, that's the thing. All right, guys, that is, if I'm not mistaken, the last of our spoilers. I will go ahead and refresh one more time here. We'll see if anything new has come out. Negatore, that does it. This actually ended up a lot longer than I thought it was going to, so I'm not going to be doing a second stream tonight, as my wife has to work tomorrow, and I need to get to Lincoln so she can go to bed. So I'm not going to be doing a second stream tonight. I do have the decks pulled up, and we will be doing the sub Sunday at some point this week. But I do want to try to stay on top of these spoilers, as it seems to be what needs to be done for YouTube videos during this part of Magic, right? You got to keep up the hype, right? Meanwhile, there's a lot of different opinions on these decks, or on these cards. A lot of your favorite YouTubers are going to be putting out a lot of spoiler content. I recommend watching it all. I really do. I'm going to be trying to watch as much as I can, so that I can have some more information. So maybe I can correct some information I might have heard somewhere else, something like that. So I will continue to watch other YouTubers spoilers. I highly recommend that you do that in case maybe you figure out something that we didn't talk about here tonight. If you want to catch us for tomorrow night spoilers, which we're going to be doing a lot of spoilers. As we stay caught up on them, we'll have other videos that'll come out after spoiler videos, but I am going to be trying to do nightly spoiler videos for the next couple weeks, and then we'll get into other games. But looks like Monday night, that's everything we had. All in all, I had a lot of fun talking about these spoilers with you guys. There's some really interesting cards coming out. I'm super excited about the new set coming. This is going to be great. Looking forward to diving into building some new decks, seeing what we can do with the new cards mixed in with some of the old decks, update some decks, check out some new archetypes that might be just kind of lingering around in the past that might have gotten a couple cards. Either way, let me know in the comments what you're most excited about. I'd love to hear it. And what deck are you looking to put it in? Like what's your brew? What's your build? And that's going to do it. If you guys want to support the channel, you can do it here on YouTube Gaming by hitting that join button when you watch these videos on YouTube Gaming. If you want to support the channel via Patreon, you can throw a buck on Patreon. If you want to support the channel by just hitting that like button, that subscribe button, that's a free way to do it, and it helps a ton. We are trying to get to 5K. We're going to be doing the 5K Q&A soon, and that'll let you guys ask questions of me, but not necessarily about Magic. So that night we're gonna break the 90% Magic rules. We'll let you guys we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, and kind of go from there. So either way, my name's Eric. You've been watching Sideboard MTG. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had fun, and we'll see you next time.